So we have a couple new things in the shop this week. This is Toad Lily. This is one of my all-time favorite fall flowers. We do not get a lot of stems of these. Honestly, we probably get 2 bunches a week for maybe 3 or 4 weeks. And the first time I ever saw them, I actually thought they were orchids. I don't know, I just had never seen anything like this. They're so weird looking. And they're a shade plant, shade flower. I think that's why we don't see a lot of them, because most cut flower growers are growing in full sun, and they don't usually have shade cut gardens. But Toad Lily is one of those flowers that I just absolutely love. I love the speckled little petals. I love that they are sort of craggly and weird. And usually how we get them is like this, with one bloom open and then the other blooms closed, but they will continue to open. And I will usually strip these bottom leaves off to use them, but they've got nice long stems too. They don't have any scent, and they are pretty long lasting. And even when this open one falls off, these other blooms will open. So I love them. Purple is not like a flower color that we use a lot in the fall, but I will use these anytime I get the chance. So another new flower we have in the shop this week, sticking with the purple theme, this is caryopteris. And it's got these nice long stems and really pretty leaves, and actually they're sort of velvety feeling. So even though I clean the bottom off, I do keep these leaves because look how cool they look. And the flowers bloom up the stem, and I love, we get them when these bottom ones are open and these are in bud. So they really are a really cool, I mean, look at this color. And they do have a fragrance. The leaves are kind of herby smelling. It's not very floral, but it is sort of herby. And I just love, I love the color. There is also a light pink version. We do get the light pink version once in a while. It's not nearly as common, and we use that more for weddings and events. This purple I'll use in mixed bouquets. I'll also sell it just by the stem because people do love it, and it is really so cute. So finally, hairy balls are back. Hairy balls, you know, I mean, they're hilarious, both the name and just looking at them. Most of our growers, not most, I would say a lot of our growers do grow these. They are in the milkweed family, so they do have a milky sap inside of the stem. Doesn't really bother me too much. I just make sure to wash my hands after I design with them. So these are like really tall. These have great stem length. And when we get them, they do have a lot of this foliage on them, and they might even have a little white flower. I've already cut the white flower off. They might have a little white flower on them. Those are not good to use as cuts. I make sure to cut that off, and I then trim all of the foliage. The foliage is crap. It wilts, it doesn't look good. I really try to take all of that off and just use the hairy balls for the balls. These are, if you have a retail shop, in our retail, hours that we have on Saturdays, people love these by the stem. They buy them by the stem all the time. Parents love them, kids love them. They're just really fun. Also, with this kind of stem length, I can use them in like altar arrangements or big ceremony arrangements, or I can cut them down short and use them in shorter arrangements. I did use them, actually, you can see how long they are. I used them in some little small bud vases this week, which also worked out great. They're really long lasting. They also do well dried, so they dry, and then these seed pods actually pop open. I can show you what one of them looks like when you pop it open. They'll dry and they'll pop open by themselves. You can see that milky sap on my hands just from breaking it off. So if I break this apart, you can see in here is the seed pod. So that's where the seeds are. And when it dries, that just bursts open by itself. And all these little seeds are right inside of there. They're not ready yet, they're not dry, so they're still fresh. But when they dry, they turn black and fuzzy, and that's when they blow around. So that's what is inside of these balls. They're just the seed pod of the milkweed. So it's always also just a fun story to tell people. People love learning about flowers, both when they come in the shop, but also in the newsletter or in videos. So I always like to show people what these actually are so that they get excited about them, and then they can go home and tell their family and friends what these weird things are too. All right, this is another bucket that came in today. This is blue Ageratum. It's not really blue. You know, in the flower world, people call things blue that are not really blue. This is more like periwinkle or dusty purple, but I think most people call it blue. I always, every week in the fall, buy this because it is a really pretty accent, and it does look so nice with like the oranges and pinks this time of year. It does have foliage on it. I'm going to just strip all of that off. Sometimes earlier in the season, growers sell the foliage just on its own, which is a pretty good foliage. It does hold up well, and it's pretty if you're desperate. I mean, is that bad? But it's like, if you can get other foliage, it's probably better, but Ageratum foliage is not bad. And then got some orange celosia. Again, a lot of foliage on it. This is standard way for celosia to come from a grower. Mostly I'm going to strip all of this off when I use it. Something like that. But man, this orange, look at that color. Tons of this. Also, orange is my favorite color, so I tend to buy a lot of orange this time of year, even though it is like, you know, fall color. And then some more dahlias. 10 stem bunches again, more balls. Yeah, really pretty. I love this bicolor. Again, like combining all of those colors together. 10 stem bunches. 10 stem bunches are standard. That's the way, if you're packaging flowers for florists, 10 stems is the standard way. Even if it's dahlias, you should still be doing 10 stem bunches. Because if you start to do 5 stem bunches and everything else is 10 stem, then florists get screwed up and they don't know what you're doing. So 10 stem bunch. This one, I have to look up the name. If you have been following me for a while, you know that I do not love eucalyptus. I know. Everybody loves eucalyptus except me. So I don't like the scent. I don't like its stickiness. I don't love it. Everybody loves it, so I have to keep buying it. But this is a new variety called Moon Lagoon. I did say that weird, Moon Lagoon. And it's got a much smaller leaf. You can see it's almost, I don't even know what to call it. Very small compared to most other eucalyptus. And it is pretty fragrant. Oh, it is pretty fragrant. So if you like fragrance in your eucalyptus, this is a good one. And I'll just show you how it looks out of the bunch. This would be great for installations or wrapped bouquets because it has a lot of movement, takes up a lot of room, but you know, the leaves are not so giant. I don't know, I really like this one for design. It's also really branchy, so if you were doing small things like bud vases or, I don't know, small arrangements, you could like break this down into much smaller pieces. So Moon Lagoon, it's new to me. I got it for the first time last week. And anytime I see something new on a grower's availability list, I'll try to get at least one bunch of it to try it out to see if I like it. And this was new and I did like it. So I bought more of it this week, and I'm going to probably use this mostly in wrapped bouquets.